Hello.
Hi there. Um, it's good to see you, Silas. Philip, I just want to say before we get going,
It is recording, just so you're
that's
aware. It
fine. No,
starts.
that's fine. That's
Okay.
fine. I want to give you a heads up about one of my corrections on the minutes. Um, my name is misspelled twice in two different ways, and sometimes I'm called Deb. So just always call me Deb.
That sounds good to me. And I will say we had a different person doing the minutes, so that is why they're a little bit longer too. So, but yes, I will double check and Deb sounds good to me.
Yeah, it's the simplest. Thank you.
No problem.
Hi, everybody. Welcome. Wow, Jacinta, so good to see you. It's been a while.
Yes, I know.
And Liz is in the house. Are
And
we all here? Is Pamela coming tonight?
Pamela is not coming tonight. And Jacinta, you are graduated, right? Congratulations.
I'm not graduated yet.
Oh, no.
It's on Sunday, but
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Any second now.
Yeah.
Any second now. All right. Are we waiting for Joy or hey Liz, good to see you. Are we all those who are gathering? Does anyone know?
I have not heard anything from Joy.
All right. Well, we certainly have a quorum, so why don't we I will call this meeting to order. Pursuant to Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021, the meeting will be conducted via remote means. Members of the public who wish to access the meeting may do so via Zoom or by telephone. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. During the public comment period, the chair, me, will recognize members of the public. When called on, please identify yourself by stating your full name, preferred pronouns, and the residential address. Residents are welcome to express their views for up to 3 minutes at the discretion of the chair based upon the number of people who wish to speak. No speaker can cede their time to another speaker. The HRC will not engage in a dialogue or comment on a matter raised during public comment. And with those introductory explanations of how we function, welcome everybody. It's good to see you. We'll do a quick check-in, call of the roll. When I call your name, please say here or there will be a silence. So,
Yeah. Can I just get a start time for the minutes here?
oh, sure. We began our meeting, we called the meeting to order at 6:02. It's about a minute ago. Thank you. Yeah. So I have to say, if you don't have your last name, I don't on your box, I'm not going to remember it. So I'll start with Ronnie Parker.
Here.
Great. Rizwana Khan.
Here.
Liz Haywood.
Hey, good.
Good is good. Just
Present.
yeah.
I'm here.
Jacinta Smith. I do remember your last name, yes?
Yeah.
All right. Jay.
Present.
All right. And Silas McClung, thank you.
Here.
All right. And I guess Joy Eiffel is not present. So we have a quorum and we can continue. The agenda was sent out according to our rules and regs a couple days in advance. And we're going to start with public comment. Do we have any members of the public here? No, we don't. Okay. So we'll go right into member reports if there are any, and then we'll approve the minutes, talk about a sign-on letter from Luce to demand Governor Healy protect our immigrant communities, get an update from the Resident Oversight Board from Ronnie, hear about next steps on the partnership with the Community Safety and Social Justice Committee from Silas. I'll give an update on the video script and my meeting with Amherst Media. They are wonderful. We'll get an update from Philip on the DEI office and on the Youth Hero Awards. Are there any additions to the agenda that we didn't know needed to be discussed before we move forward? No. All right, excellent. Do we have reports of members that aren't already in the agenda? Because we have so many. Yes, Jay.
Yeah, just a brief report here.
I got an email from Kevin Kennedy from the Five College Inc. saying that he spoke with the five colleges, but they are reticent to meet with the town because they do not wish to have their personal policies and protocols made public. So with that in mind, I did respond to Kevin to see if there were other ways, without divulging those personal kinds of procedures, in ways where we could still find common ground to work together, so that the safety of the various residents also attached to these schools are also addressed, I guess, long term over the next few years. So I have yet to hear from him. I shared that information with Pamela and with Philip in person at the office. I also met with Chief Ting during the week, and he gave me a lot of information about the things that the police department can do and cannot do. And he also shared a document which is on their website, and he suggested that we include that as a part of something that we could put online for our immigrant community in the town. That's the report. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Jay and Ronnie.
I wonder, Jay, if you could say just quickly, when you heard from the police about what they can and cannot do, is there a summary that you could provide of that just for the public record?
Well,
I think it's
I'm in upstate New York right now at my sister's, and I have the document back in Amherst, and I could do that via email to, I think, Pamela and to Philip, and then they could include that into the record.
so the document is about what they can and cannot do.
Yes,
Right.
it was initially done by Chief Livingston in 2020, and it's the same document that he shared with me, and that is available online on the, let's see, police department site.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, Ronnie, do you have
I
enough?
also had a report, and it's really about these weekly briefings that the state Office for Immigrants and Refugees puts out. And as you can imagine, all the talk today was about the Supreme Court decision about the Venezuelans and their temporary protection status. And that status, it's apparently quite confusing because the government didn't change its website, but their bottom line understanding is that the status is gone. And they reported that a lot of people are being fired from their jobs because employers are afraid that they're doing something illegal or that they themselves will be targeted. One sort of bright light, if you could call it that, was that there are a lot of special protections that the state is offering to homeless people in homeless shelters. And so if any of you works with shelters, I've been talking to the person at Craig's Doors, and I haven't had a chance to call him about today's news. There are protections. And I can, I don't want to take up the meeting time, but I can provide more details because I'm going to these hearings every week. Yeah, so the picture is generally not good, although there are lots of lawsuits everywhere challenging everything, but we're getting to the point where we're not really sure whether the administration will in the end bend to accommodate the courts. So that was the word from the most recent briefing.
Thank you. I think it would be amazing if there are, if they provide information like with bullets of what they are saying in the meetings that you could transmit to us. It's a heavy load to ask you to, take notes and make,
Well, I
listen.
mean, I wouldn't mind doing that, but it's very hard for them to do that because there are typically over 200 organizations that attend these discussions and people are asking questions. And these are all people who are very actively involved, and they're also providing reports about ICE activities. And I guess the one piece of information that you should look at is this organization called LUCE. They have a hotline and it comes right up when you Google them. And the hotline is to report ICE activities. And one example that one of their employees gave was where they were called and a group of them went to where the ICE were present. And they made themselves visibly present. And when they did that, apparently ICE left. And so then they got word that they were somewhere else. And so they dashed over there. But by the time they got there, they learned that ICE left because of them, because they turned around and went back to the original place. So they're like playing cat and mouse, but they're trying to have some kind of deterrent effect just by being present and being witnessing. And this strategy-wise is very different from what we as a town have been doing, but also in part what the state has been doing, which is, well, I won't speak for the state, I don't really know, but there's this strategic question of, do we want to be under the radar and not make a lot of noise and not draw their attention, or do we want to really fight openly? And I think their opinion, their feeling, at least when there is ICE activity, is that we shouldn't let them do it secretively, that we should be there and we should witness it and we should document it as much as we can and make it known. So yeah, I can think about developing bullets for each meeting so that they just go with our packet.
That would be
Top of
amazing.
page.
That would be amazing, Ronnie. Thank you so much for attending. A question that arises for me. I've been involved in those kinds of actions in the past, but never as a representative of a municipal committee or commission or agency. And so it strikes me that the nonprofits in our area, like the Worker Center or, the nonprofits who are charged with doing this, would be great, excuse me, great organizers for this.
They are, and there's a lot of activity in Massachusetts. I'm sorry, I just looked at my notes. There's one more thing that I've highlighted here to tell you, which is that they had a guest speaker today, and it was somebody from the Attorney General's office. And they said that they are taking on these cases where people are being fired, Venezuelans in particular at this moment. And he says, often they find that once they explain to the employer that they are not at risk and they don't have to fire these people, they often do change their minds, but they're also looking for action based on discrimination, and that they're taking cases. So if you know that this has happened to anyone, they want you to contact the Attorney General's office, and I can provide more information about that. So if you know of cases, let's bring them to the state's attention so they can get help.
Thank you so much. Does anybody have any questions for Ronnie? All right, thank you so much again. And are there any other members who have reports that aren't already part of the agenda? All right, thank you. Moving along, we're going to move into minutes approval. And I think what happens is first somebody makes a motion to approve, and then we discuss. Yes? So would somebody like to make a motion to approve the minutes? All right, Jay makes the motion. Does anyone want to second that? All right, Rizwana, thank you. So any comments or corrections? I've already told Philip that my name is spelled incorrectly twice, and then sometimes it's Deborah and sometimes it's Deb. So I asked him to just change it to be all Deb. And I don't think we need to vote on that. Are there any other corrections or concerns? I actually did have a substantive correction, which is on the second page. Yes, on the second page where we have update from Ronnie, it should be from the Resident Oversight Board, not form. And then underneath that, where it says my name, the second sentence should read, it's just the pieces about whether or not it will be a review or investigatory model. And that's a factual thing. I don't, know that we need to kind of debate that. I saw Ronnie smile and shake her head. She was the other person who was there in the room in addition to Philip. Any other changes or corrections? All right, so with the changes made as with my friendly amendments, can I just put it that way? Do we accept the minutes as amended? All in favor, say, well, raise your hand. I won't be able to hear your eyes if you're,
Yes.
all right. Jacinta? All right, so I think we have unanimous approval of the minutes. Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda, Ronnie, you put this on the agenda, the loose sign-on letter. Would you like to give us a little background about that? Oh, and you're on mute.
Sorry. At these Mira meetings, this thing was circulated, and it's basically that there's a lot of discussion at these meetings about what the state is doing, what the governor is saying, and so on. And I guess there's a considerable discontent with what the governor is saying and doing. But apart from that, a major issue is that we have this big detention center in Plymouth, and people really don't want to have these things in the state of Massachusetts. And they believe it's on the governor to take a strong position on that. And to get rid of the detention centers. There's a full spectrum of views about what all the governor can do, but there seemed to be a very significant majority agreement with the bullets that are there. So I thought that might be a good thing for us, and South Hadley is also going to be, their Human Rights Commission is also going to be voting on this when they meet next. And maybe Northampton as well. I think it was Greenfield or one of those other towns that expressed interest and was really excited about signing on. And I think there could be a bit of power if you have a bunch of human rights commissions all saying we need to do more here. So it's up to us to decide whether we as a commission want to do it or not. So if somebody wants to move and second, we can have discussion and vote.
Yeah, would somebody like the letters in your packet that Philip sent out a couple days ago? So hopefully everyone had a chance to read it. So would somebody like to make a motion
Also, an easy way to skim it, if you haven't, is just go to lucmass.org and go to take action, and it's right there in large print. If you want to take a minute, you can skim it. It's just that one page on the screen.
I'll make the motion.
Thanks, Rizwana. Would somebody like to second it? Ronnie seconds the motion. Any discussion?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Go for it.
Is there any discussion? I'll just say I already signed on as an individual, and I think it would be fantastic for us to sign on, and I can't imagine any reason not to.
Me too. I'm a strong proponent of that. It doesn't hurt to ask our officials to do more, especially when things seem complicated and they're overwhelmed by many different interests. I think the onus is on us as part of our civic participation, the constituents, to help provide clarity about where we stand and how important we think things are. So I would strongly be in favor of signing it.
Great. Comments or questions?
I have a quick question. This is just logistical. It looks like it says on the form to complete by May 14th, 2025. Is it still possible to?
Yeah, it actually wasn't circulated by May 14th in our group where there were 200 people, 200 organizations.
Okay, perfect.
Great question. I remember that came up somewhere else as well. So if there's no other discussion, we have a motion on the table to approve our signing on to the letter. Let's take a vote. If you agree, please raise your hands. If you want to say aye, that's great too.
Aye.
And Liz, you're not on the screen. Maybe Liz stepped away. There you are.
I'm still here. I need to, for me personally, I need to read more into it. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
So I'd rather abstain right now. That doesn't mean it won't pass because um
We have
most
6
of you,
people. Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Yeah, your abstention is fine. The vote would pass 6 in favor and 1 abstention. Thank you. All right, we are just rolling along, and I noticed that we do have somebody who's an observer. So when we get to public comment period in a little bit, we'll check in with that person to see if they have something that they wanted to share. But right now, Ronnie, you're up again with an
Yeah.
update on the Resident Oversight Board stakeholder group.
Right, yeah. So we finally finished after many months. And not unexpectedly, we ended up being divided as I had predicted and as the group had predicted. We couldn't come to resolution on whether this oversight board should be the primary investigator. Like, should they investigate when a complaint comes in? Can they receive the complaint and investigate and then bring in the police? Or should the complaint actually go to the police and they do the investigation and then the board reviews the investigation? And then, in both cases, there's interaction between the police and the board, but actually the question really is, who's the lead investigator on this? And we could not come to a conclusion on it. So basically what you will see are 2 options that the facilitators were kind enough to write up, 2 separate options where most of the text is the same. But whether one is more review, one is investigation. And the other thing that was discussed a lot was this question of subpoena authority. And I think the expert who was guiding us, who oversees a board that does have subpoena authority, said that they've never used it. And he raised some important questions about, it getting in the way of trying to build community friendship, sort of a relationship that's calmer and easier rather than one that's more like hierarchic, like the board is going to subpoena. So he said they never actually used it, but I think there were a whole bunch of us, and I was part of that group, that felt that in order to gain the trust of the community and that we would need to have that written down. So they feel that it's really serious. And I think especially with today's news that the administration is pulling out of its oversight of police departments that have been known to be bad performers with regard to issues of concern to us. I think it's important to make a strong statement to our communities that actually, we care about how people are treated by the police and we take that seriously. So, the subpoena thing, authority is there in both versions. The main difference really is review versus investigative. And now it goes to the town council and there will be a lot of discussion about it and you will all have an opportunity to comment. And I would suggest, if you are going to comment, if you have questions, this is really important for us, that you talk to me or Deb or Philip, because Deb was one of the facilitators. She has the broader view of what people were saying. Philip and I were participants. We had one vote each. And Philip, can give you sort of as a town representative what he heard and thinks, and I can give you the community perspective. But it's not just me. There, obviously there was a whole group, but we of the within the Human Rights Commission are available to talk to you if you would like to ask questions or discuss more here or outside.
Thank you, Ronnie. Liz.
I'm just curious as to how we're moving forward with the Resident Oversight Board? How is the town taking it, considering that we are fighting for Crest? And how do the two interface or not when it comes to public safety and oversight with our departments of justice, if you will, when I'm talking about police, Crest, courts, and all of that, right? So how does all of that interface, and how does the town manager's position on freezing Crest, how is it all interfacing? Is it coming together as one entity? Are we separate entities? Are we fighting together? What's going on?
Ronnie, is it okay if is it okay if I take that on?
Sure.
All right. So first of all, Crest was represented on the stakeholder group. So they were part by Camille. So they were part of the decision making and the drafting of the charter and the bylaws and the operating procedures. Crest was just like the police department would be subject to oversight by this board, and Camille welcomed that. She said, yeah, I have nothing to hide. We have nothing to hide. You know, if something goes wrong, we want the community to be involved. She's amazing. I guess that's what I would say. Editorializing here. She's amazing. I don't think that the Resident Oversight Board is impacted at all by the fact that there's a freeze on hiring for Crest. So I think if you're asking like this bigger question of how do we make sure that the public safety in this town is what it needs to be, the answer is it's not just about the oversight board. It is about staffing, and it is about funding, and it is about ongoing advocacy from the community for the components of public safety that we believe in and that we know are important can continue. So it's kind of two separate things. Ronnie, did you want to chime in?
When we started, that was not an issue. Crest was fully staffed, and the budget questions didn't really come up in our discussion. What we did hear was the police saying, well, we're being singled out, you know, why not other public safety groups, which is how Camille said, well, that's fine. But there's something I think that should be made clear, that the police are different. In their negotiations, they are the only department of the government of the town of Amherst where a complaint or a violation, I don't know what the exact word is, but when you do something wrong and it goes on your personnel record, they're the only department where it gets erased after 1 year. If Philip were to do something, or someone filed a complaint against Philip, it would be on his personnel record forever, like most of us in our jobs face. But in the Amherst Police, it was negotiated so that's just one example. But Camille she didn't care. We were discussing all this and she said, well, you know, whatever, you know, you want oversight, you have the oversight. She had a quite open attitude toward it.
Very open. And I do want to clarify that purging of the personnel files was something that was negotiated during collective bargaining. And I know that there are folks in amongst the city staff who think that really needs to be rectified in the next round of negotiations.
Hello.
Yeah, it does.
I don't know. Yeah. Can I editorialize again? I used to be a labor unionist. I've never seen such a thing in all my life. Forget it's different than anyone else, any other municipal employee in Amherst, in the world, as you were right. It's kind of unheard of.
So I'm sorry, could I add one more thing? In terms of actually, I don't know when it's going to go to the town council, but I would really encourage people to push to get it discussed, because the next round of union negotiations starts in July.
Yeah, so I actually
it's
move to
really
that.
important that the input on and all of this feed into the next round of negotiations that they
So does
have,
that
because
mean,
those negotiations, I don't think we have access to the negotiations.
so does that mean that I'm a member of the police department, I do something, something, whatever, and it doesn't matter what the degree of the something is, after it's been dealt with, if you will, if that's a correct phrase, and then it's 12 months later, it's erased from my record, and then I could do the same thing in 12 months in one day, but you then cannot refer back to the last time I did it, which was a year and a day ago.
Correct.
Wow.
Wow is right. So I wanted to ask a question that might
Okay,
have
to be
been,
fair, because I questioned this and it was explained to me that the Post Commission keeps track of all of this. But the problem for us is that the violations we're talking about are not the kind that the Post Commission would take up, but they are of importance to us. So I'll give you an example. Somebody gave this example. The example is of somebody driving and being pulled over, and then the police officer approaches the person shouting at the person. Okay, so that's not something that the Post Commission is going to take up, as the Post Commission did not take up what happened to our middle schoolers. They take up what they consider to be super serious crimes. But what happened to our middle schoolers was important to us as a community. Our standard is not to have police officers approaching a vehicle in an aggressive, loud voice. That's not what we would accept. So I think, the view that the Post Commission is keeping track, and if the Post Commission investigates you, that's different. That doesn't come off your record. That stays on. But the Post Commission doesn't investigate the things that we're concerned about, the kinds of violations that happen here that are considered minor, really, in the world of policing, right?
so
Nobody's
everyone
been
might not
shot
know
at,
what the
et cetera.
Post Commission is before you go on. The Post Commission is a statewide body that gathers information on infractions that are committed by the police and ensure that if somebody is discharged from one department, that there is a statewide database so that if they apply in another department, that information is available. Whereas if
So that's good.
Post did not exist.
Yeah.
But as Ronnie was saying, the level of infraction we're talking about is wounding or killing someone, right? Or at least pulling a weapon in a situation that's not considered appropriate. And that's not what's going on here in Amherst. So, all right, so that we're getting into like the weeds, that might be a
Sorry
bit.
about that.
No, that's okay. That's okay. What I wanted to say is, I don't know if this was part of your question, Liz, but somebody might wonder what happens next. So the stakeholder group discussed and then drafted these documents. They're going to the council for the council to vote on. And the council will decide, is it a review body, oversight body, or an investigatory body? Because the budget is so challenging this year and there needs to be cuts, the assumption is that the council will not have the bandwidth before the end of this fiscal year, which is the end of June. So they won't be able to take this up in session until July. That's the assumption. That being said, anything's possible. We'll keep you posted if it gets on a council agenda or whenever it gets on the council agenda. Paul Buckelman is going to be presenting the proposal. So the oversight body stakeholder group who wrote it and the consultants who assisted in the writing, none of us are going to be presenting. It's going to be Paul. And just like any other item on a council agenda, people from the community will, be able to sign up and give testimony and speak. So the document is in your packet that Philip sent out. I strongly urge you to read through it all if you haven't. And if you did read through it and you have questions, additional questions, we can discuss them now, or we can certainly discuss them in a month as well. Yes, Ronnie.
I have just one other comment, not to give anyone additional reading, but I think it's really important to go to that CSWG report. It's on the HRC site. That is where all of this started, and to look at what was said there so we don't lose our way in terms of what we were trying to achieve when we started this whole process some years back. So I would really encourage people to take a look at that report
Great.
while you're thinking about this.
Great. And so after the council makes a decision, there's another step. People can volunteer, and the exact process for selecting the actual board has not been decided yet, but people will apply, just like they apply to be a member of the Human Rights Commission. The board will be selected, and the goal is to have as much diversity as possible and people with knowledge about civil rights and human rights and the criminal justice system and DEI, et cetera, and a variety of representing a variety of communities. And once it's established, once it's selected, there'll be 3 days of training that'll be conducted by Brian and I. And then there'll be the creation of all of the forms and documents that'll be needed. Like, here's the complaint form and here's whatever, right? So my hope is that the whole thing will be done certainly by the end of this calendar year. So the council will make a decision. The board will be selected, the training will happen, and all of the supporting documents will be created by the end of this year. Okay? Questions? Comments? Thank you so much, Ronnie, for being the HRC's representative. This body, with between Philip and Pamela and Ronnie and I, was definitely the best represented municipal body in town. So. Rizwana, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, actually, I wanted to also, while we were talking about CRESS and all the enforcement, the middle school also came into news just 2 months ago, and the police had to go there. So I was suggesting to Brittany also that there should be a visible presence of CRESS people in the middle school and not the police, because police came when CRESS would not come, because when there's some kind of physical altercation, only police has to be there. So if CRESS is involved in that environment, because they used to go there, I remember during lunch and so on, and participate and volunteer there. So I don't know how they can also again contribute to that environment and create safety, because that was the whole point of CRESS coming into existence. And also plus, Deb, thank you so much. This form and creating forms are really very helpful. I'm really happy to know that you are going into that, and we'll be learning more about that later. Thanks.
Thank you, Rizwana. Liz.
Mhm.
I just want to clarify something that Riswana said. First of all, the CRESS and the police department do a lot of work with early morning movement with the kids. It's a whole program that the Family Center and Dwayne Chambles have put together, where they go and they network with the kids and they do homework and talk to them about stuff and play basketball and, you know, lift weights with them and teach them different skills and everything. And it's been a really fun and important way to interface between middle schoolers, high schoolers, and the police department and CRESS. The police were called not because of a student altercation. The police were called when the parents started fighting in the building. So that, I think, and that's unfortunately, or fortunately, whichever way you want to put it, in defense of CRESS, the police needed to be called. The kids got into an altercation. The parents came to pick up the children involved. and the parents got into an altercation, and that's when the police were called. So I just wanted to clarify, it wasn't that Crest would not have been called or responded, but I think that in that respect, it was for the police, not for Crest.
Thank you, because they were grown-ups doing grown-up kind of conflict. Got it.
No, there were grown-ups doing childish.
Childish. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I have something else. Basically, looking at the cultural aspect is that there should be some kind of a consequence. So now when we talk about HR for everybody, so what are the consequences? Are there any consequences? We are creating forms and we're creating all these things. But if somebody is doing something wrong, there should be some kind of consequences that we are aware of, so that we make it a example, or everybody knows, as a deterrence. So that's a big
Are
picture.
you asking what are the consequences if the police do something wrong? Is that what you're asking?
Overall, if in an organization, when somebody does something wrong, and somebody is doing something that is hurting somebody, because that's the reason why we are here. So what are the consequences if that person is doing something like there is a safety issue in schools or something like that? So is there any consequences that are placed?
Liz, did you want to answer that? Your hand is up.
I kind of do. It depends on the infraction. It depends on who's involved. It depends on if is court. It depends on if there's mediation. There's all kinds of different ways to resolve the conflict. And I'm not sure if you're talking about, because we started off this conversation talking about the Resident Oversight Board, Rizwana, I'm not sure if you're talking about the children that got involved with the fight, the parents that got involved with the fight, the police or if we're talking about just the overall Resident Oversight
Over
Board.
here in this scenario, because the fact that I am more involved or in this environment is because it is affecting the town, because constantly it is happening in a very predictable manner, So if the parents are coming and they're not listening, there should be some kind of a deterrence for them and their behavior, because children are, I don't think they are to be blamed, but because they are already in the school and they are already taken care of. But the parents should be the ones guiding and be the mentor and so on. So what if they come and do the same thing again?
Well, the police have to deal with the parents. The school and the school department has dealt with the students. They had hearings on whether they were going to be suspended, not suspended, suspended for a day, suspended for the rest of the school year. All of that has taken place. The school can only be responsible for their charge, and their charge are the students, and they've done that. Now, whatever the town does, or the police department, or whoever is done to the parents, for me as a teacher or a retired teacher, and a mom who has two children, and I say children, my children are 39 and 34. So, and they both work in those school buildings. And so, as a parent of of adults that work in the building, yes, I am concerned for their safety. They are not too concerned for their safety because the kids respect and love them and usually do what they say. My son was not in the building when this happened. He stepped out for 20 minutes to go pick up his lunch. Not that that would have made any difference. Who knows? But the school can only take care of who their charge is, and the school is not in charge of the parents. Now, they have a responsibility when those parents walk in the door, and their response to their responsibility was to call the people, the police department, to take care of or deal with the parents that were out of hand.
So thank you, Liz. I want to move on to our next agenda item, but say as a general matter, just to be clear, the Human Rights Commission is not the accountability mechanism for every entity in the town of Amherst. Consequences might arise if somebody files a complaint and it comes to us, right? And Pamela at the DEI office investigates and mediates and can come to a resolution or can suggest that the issue go to the EEOC or some other agency that's charged with oversight on that issue, right? So I just want to say that kind of to wrap up the question, what are the consequences? Isn't that what we're here for? And it's actually not what we're here for. As Liz was saying, the police are here to do certain things. CRES is here to do certain things. The school system manages its own, lots of entities in town are responsible for the behavior of their employees and their board members and their charges, etc. All right. With that, the next agenda item is next steps on the partnership with the CSSJC, and I think that's Silas, yes?
Yes. So Allegra and I have compiled a document which I believe Philip shared with you all. It's called the HRC Planning Document for Tenants' Rights. And essentially it's a list of resources that are pertaining to tenants' rights. And where Allegra and I are hoping to move this forward is to receive your feedback on the document, see if there are any changes or things that folks would like reflected in it, as well as in the case that there isn't or is, we'd then like to proceed with putting this on the Amherst Human Rights Commission resources page, if possible.
I have to say, I went through the whole packet and I didn't see it, but maybe I missed it.
I believe it was a separate email sent by Philip pertaining.
I know, it's right here. It's on there. It says meeting. Oh no, that was from the minutes from the last meeting. Never mind. Go back.
Yeah. I will say I don't think it's in the packet. I think it was an email sent out, and my apologies for not catching that in the packet. The packet was pretty big as is right now.
Yeah, so I did not read it because it was not in the packet, I confess. So I'm not in a position to give feedback, but the floor is open if other people paid attention to all the emails that they got and took a look at it. Ronnie. So
I saw the email and skimmed it and thought I will read it in detail when it comes to the packet. But my initial impression was really good, and I think it's good for us to get involved in this area of great importance. And I think it's good to actually post it. But you can always go back, update, revise, make it better, add, whatever. But I think it's good to put it out there because we are on the move. We've got things happening. And this is an area of human rights that's quite important here that people have been talking about that needs doing. And so I guess I'm inclined to say, let's do it. Unless no one else has read it, of course. Yeah. I loved it.
could you, Philip, you just shared your screen. It's a little too small for me. I was going to echo what Ronnie said and say, I trust the CSSJC and I trust Silas, and I don't feel a need to read this to give you the go ahead.
Look at those links. I mean, they're great.
Yeah.
I wasn't able to go into them and see actually what was in there, but I was intending to do that in the future. I mean, when the packet came out, but I think this is lovely. This is really good work, Silas.
Thank you. And a huge shout out to Allegra for helping me pull this together. This is definitely a group effort.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Silas.
Hi.
Any of your communications with anybody, was there, I'm seeing also William Galvin, who's our state treasurer, I think, and he's been on talking about the housing and how unaffordable it is it's not affordable to residents of the state of Massachusetts. So is anybody doing anything about the fact that there is no cap on what's the word? What's the phrase I'm looking for? Like the landlords can raise up to and there's no cap. They can go up every year as much as like 10 or 20% above in the last, you know what I'm saying? Is anybody doing anything about that or talking about a cap on how much and when somebody can increase the amount of money somebody pays in rent? Did you come across any of that?
That's a great question. Yeah, I mean, there's lots of federal laws that are protecting folks against housing discrimination. I don't remember seeing specific things within the organizations that we were looking at that were like local legal aid things about a cap. I did see things about, rent assistance and other ways to support renters, but not to my knowledge. I could certainly ask Allegra and get back to you on that specific question. And that could be an additional thing that is put in the resources if it's not already reflected. Because I think I only have like a one half of the puzzle to the resources.
I like the resources. It's just, part of, and the thing that I was fighting with when I was the liaison with the Fair Housing Trust was the fact that the landlords couldn't raise the rents, and that's a number of people that grew up, went to school, do community service, and work in and about the municipals of Amherst and can't afford to live here. And, and that's a problem. And, it's a problem in a lot of different districts around Massachusetts. So why is it that somebody's not taking a hard look at that and saying, we need to get a handle on this, and especially in the town of Amherst. And I can only speak about the town of Amherst because this is where I live and have been living since 1977. The landlords buy up the houses and then they rent to college students. And I have to preface this by saying, I don't have any problem with the college students that live around me because they are very respectful, very quiet, do their business and they move on so far. But, the house next to me had a nice family. They sold their house because they needed a bigger space for their growing family. And then the landlord, somebody bought the house and rented it to 6 college students. So again, I don't have a problem with them living next door to me. I barely see them. But it's starting to not become the neighborhood that I wanted when I moved here because it's being overrun by college students and not families. So, there's a lot of stuff in there, but part of the issue is that we can't afford to live here because we have these landlords that are making the most money on the students, and B, Massachusetts does not have a cap on when or how landlords can raise their rents each year. So just a thought.
Thank you, Liz. Ronnie, and then Rizwana, and then Jay.
So I was just wondering if you might look at Burlington, because I know they have these rules. I know New York City does. I think DC does. I think that it tends to be bigger places than Amherst that have these kinds of rules about the rates at which you can raise rent and conditions under which you can raise beyond the rate that's established. That's it.
Yeah, generally the category is called rent control.
That's the word.
Yes. Rizwana, Jay, and then Philip.
Yeah, as of this year, 2025, Massachusetts does not impose a statewide cap on rent increases. And also because of the fact they have this rental agreement that they have to give 30 days before, notice requirements if they are renting it from month to month, or fixed term leases, they have to, increase the rent only during the lease term ends. So there's no cap.
Thank you, Rizwana. Jay.
Yes, I mean, who would be in charge of passing any law in town with regards to things such as rent control?
I don't know if it's something that the towns have power over or if it's a statewide thing.
It's a
statewide. Do
statewide.
not have it statewide.
So in that case, that lobbying or the pressure would need to be put on the State House. and on our state senators and representatives. Philip.
That was what I was going to bring up. It can actually be both. So the way that some municipalities in Massachusetts have it to be rent controlled is a bylaw in municipalities. The state does not have an overall bill, but there is a bill being fought for, which is Bill H 1304. And it is talking about rent control and having those types of policies in place. I was just at a conference for fair housing and civil rights, so learning a lot about all that.
Wonderful. Perhaps, is it possible for you to send out information or how we can get information on 81304 just for
Yep.
our personal interests?
Yep,
That'd
I
be
can
great.
send it out.
Thank you, Philip.
Thank you.
Ronnie, it looks like yeah, Ronnie?
I was wondering if you would also just coordinate with Silas so that when he's putting that piece together, that it's all, like the whole rent control thing could be its own separate heading within the housing stuff.
Yep.
That sounds great. Silas, do you get the last word? Is there anything, I think a lot of us said, we trust you, we love that document, go for it. Do we need a vote or what are you needing from us?
You will need a vote for that if I'm
Yeah.
gonna put it on.
Yes, all right. So would somebody like to make a motion to support the work of Silas and Allegra in moving forward? Yeah. Ronnie and Jay both raise your hands. So do we have a motion and a second? Is that what that was?
Go for it, Jay. Do you have the motion?
Jay makes the motion. And Ronnie seconds. So all in favor, raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
All right, we got unanimity. Silas, you are commissioned to move forward. Carry on. Good work. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. And so for next steps, would I reach out to Philip then to coordinate putting that up on the website?
Sounds good. We got a
Great.
thumbs up. We got a thumbs up. Yeah.
And then I'll make sure to include a note or links about the rent control. And the last piece that I wanted to share is that Allegra and I are thinking about how we can continue raising awareness and momentum on this topic. And currently we're thinking about what are ways we might make pamphlets or disseminate some kind of information about folks' renters' rights. I mean, over half of people in Amherst are renters. And while we haven't found one centralized, organization or other, it would kind of be on a case-by-case basis. We are thinking about different ways of disseminating information and sharing it. And I just want to briefly pause and ask if anyone has any ideas beyond like a pamphlet or other things. Yes.
Yeah, I think you need to make some TikToks and put some stuff up on Instagram. Because right now, right? That's what people have the attention span for, and everybody's online. Not instead of brochures, in addition to.
Fantastic. Thanks. Any other thoughts before we move on?
All right. So you sent me a couple of, this is just really quick. You sent me a couple sentences about this for the video, which is our next topic for the video script. Given that you're going to move forward and try and disseminate the information, if there's a little bit more that you want to say about the work and you want to send me that, I could get that into the script. All right?
Will do. Thanks.
It's really important work. All right, we're moving along on our agenda. I have an update on the video script. Two things. First, I had an amazing meeting with Amherst Media. They are so happy to be producing this video for us. For the very, very low rate of us joining them as with a membership of $200, they'll do everything. So that means we'll go to their studios and we'll perform the script. And they need an editor. I've told them I'm the producer, so I will sit and edit this with them. I have done some video editing, so I know how to do that. And from from the opening to the credits, they'll just put it together and make something beautiful. And they're ready to start rolling with us. We can start getting studio time with them at their headquarters, which is on University Boulevard, in a week or two. So that's the update. And I'm working with Philip. There's apparently $200 in on the HRC account. So we're going to figure out a way to transfer that $200 from us to them for their services. We have looked at the script several times, and what I want to do now is not look at the script again. It's done. What I want to know is I had a conversation with Ronnie, like, how do we decide who are the actors, who's going to perform this script? And at first I thought, oh, we'll just take volunteers. And then I thought, well, we need to have a full representation of our diversity. We need young people and older people. We need people of, we represent the diversity of Amherst. And then I thought everybody should do it if you're not camera shy. And if you would trust me, I would assign roles. And so you have the script. It's like 5-6 pages, something like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 pages. And there's 2 sections that definitely have to be done by the DEI office. Like Pamela has to be, in my opinion, she has to be the one explaining the complaint process because she's the one who figured it out and who does it. And I think Philip has to be the one who talks about community events because Philip is the one who puts them together, right? So those 2 pieces are taken care of. So yeah. So if you want to have a role, raise your hand and I will assign you a role. That's what I thought I would do. Now, the one person I'm really, really worried about is Jacinta. Are you leaving like on Monday?
Yeah, we have to leave by 5 p.m. on Sunday.
Sunday. And where do you live?
New York.
Well, if you're willing to come back for like some studio time, I personally would love to have you, and I would assign you the work on the immigration rights piece because you put so much work into our resource page. And if you say no, I'm going to cry.
I'm so sorry. What is the studio situation?
So,
Mhm.
So they're located on University Boulevard. I'll give everybody, or University Avenue. It's University Avenue here. I'll give everybody their information. It's very informal. It's not like you're going into what is it, MSNBC, like TV studio or something. You'll be in a conference room. They'll have a camera, and it's all on teleprompters.
Okay.
So you have to be comfortable reading a teleprompter.
I think just like the move out process is so stressful. And I'll probably need time to decompress, but I do have like a camera with decent quality. It's like a professional camera that I can like try to record. I don't know if you can hear me. Oh yeah. I can try to record like myself and maybe memorize the script.
I'll ask them.
Okay.
I'll ask them. I mean, we're not going to film this this week or next week. It would mean if you coming into the studio would mean in 2 or 3 weeks, like after you went home and decompressed, if you were willing to drive back for a day, and it wouldn't be a day. You wouldn't be in the studio for a day. You'd be in the studio for, an hour tops, probably do a few takes,
Right.
You can say no. I don't mean to press you, but I don't know the answer to the question about whether you could film yourself. I have to ask them.
Okay, then for now, like tentative.
All right. All right. So now that I've put Jacinta on the spot, if you'd like to have a part in the video, which means basically you need to feel comfortable reading a teleprompter and being filmed for posterity, and a document and a video that's going to live for the next 50 years, raise your hand. Don't be shy. Great. Silas and Ronnie and Liz and Philip, you're on no matter what. We got it. Silas, Ronnie, and Liz. And Jacinta is we'll see. And Philip is required. Thank you, people.
Sorry, could I make a small comment? I know you said no changes to the text.
Uh-huh.
I finally looked at it and was able to envision what would happen, and I can tell you how I would change. I wouldn't just say this is maybe a problem. If you're open to that, I can just
Oh,
tell
if
you and
people
send
have,
it to you in writing if you wish, but it's not.
that would be
order.
fantastic. If people have not read through the script before and now they have, and you have, by all means, feel free to send me your suggested edits. I just
Okay.
didn't want to take the time in the meeting
All
today.
right, I can just send it to you via email then.
Fantastic.
Yeah, they're very specific, so.
Great.
yeah.
Jay.
Yes, okay, question about music, background to this, yeah, because you need multicultural world music. So,
Yes.
So
so this
Jay,
makes sense. Okay, so what do you
yes.
have in mind there?
We
Yes.
talked about music very briefly, and then we didn't finish the conversation. We being me and the folks at Amherst Media, we didn't finish the conversation. Tell me what you have in mind.
Well, what I would have in mind is that we should have a representation of the cultural musics from the town of Amherst as some kind of a backdrop to the script. And I think that I could serve in some capacity, perhaps as an advisor to these folks, and then find the cuts of music which may go, and then we could discuss that whether it's working or not. Because I think that if the music doesn't quite work, in the script, or if they choose the wrong music, then the story, and I think that the push and the trajectory of your script won't work as well. So it needs to be, intertwined with what you have written.
JJ, I love it. You're on. You're our music supervisor. Yes.
Okay, yeah, I could.
And I guess
could be a
Rizwana is
consultant of
like an
sorts, and then
author or something as well, right?
Pardon?
I guess Rizwana is like a co-author of the text or
Yeah.
something, whatever it is.
Rizwana and I wrote the script.
Yeah.
And Jay, music supervisor, makes my heart sing. Makes my heart sing. Everybody, you're rock stars. And soon you're going to be video stars. All right. Thank you, everybody. I'm moving back to the agenda now. The next item is DEI update from Philip. And Philip, are you also going to do the Youth Hero Awards? And if so, you could just flow from one to the next.
Sounds good to me. I will go ahead and try and make that flow happen. I'll do a pause in between the update though, so that way if anybody has a question, you can go ahead and ask. So the department is nearing completion of trainings for all town departments. So those are our specific departments that we go to. So fire, library, town hall, all that. Right now we just have the police department to train, and that is happening in June on our part. So we're collaborating with them, and by June we will have met all town departments in collaboration with the consultants. The Rob has come to an end, and it's been sent to town manager, and we went steadily over that, so I'll skip most of that part. Outreach for the laboratory visioning process with Dr. Love has concluded. That last one that we did was at the ending of April, and so now we're working with Dr. Love to write up a final report, and once that report is written, we will be sending it out in our newsletter to the folks that were involved with it, as well as having it up on our website. So, and I will most likely send it to you all as I do with the newsletter. So you all will see it in that way. Last week we had youth programming that focused on the school to prison pipeline, and that was on Wednesday that happened. We had about 8 students that came, and one community member that came, so it was well attended. I think for youth programming it is going pretty good, and we're starting to see some more kids come. The department participated in the sustainability fair last Saturday, as well as the department, is attending some hazardous implementation planning group coordination with emergency preparedness for safety planning. It's basically FEMA money that the state is trying to go after, and it's usually renewed every 3 to 5 years, and so that timing is up. So our department is helping out with that through a diversity, equity, inclusion lens. And we're also collaborating with some other consultants that we have for our annual report that we plan to release and a strategic plan for next year on our end. Some upcoming dates for you all to be aware about is June 2nd is going to be the Pride flag raising ceremony outside of Town Hall. That will be at 5:30 p.m. So right before town council meeting happens. On June 8th, we have the Youth Hero Awards, and that will be held in collaboration with Race Amity Day, and that will be at Mill River starting at 12 p.m. Nominations are still open. We have extended the nominations there. I'll go into more detail there. And the last date is June 22nd, Amherst Pride Parade. It's an inaugural Pride Parade that is happening. The parade is going to begin at Amherst High School. It's going to go down into Triangle Street and then going down onto into downtown, heading into the Common there. The parade starts at 12 p.m. When the parade reaches the Common, there will be a rally and resource fair happening, some speakers, and just a good time until about 3 p.m. when things will wrap up. Anybody have any questions for DEI update before I go into Youth Hero Award?
Thank
Ronnie?
you. It looks like, yeah.
I
Sorry.
had a couple of questions. Do you know when we can expect Dr. Love's report?
We are hoping to get that done by the end of June. I will say that is a tentative. We're
Okay.
still working on it, but
And
that is one of
when you said school to prison, what is that? Is that
School
kids
to
who ended
prison.
up in prison or kids who may go to prison and are?
So the school to prison pipeline is kind of the framework in which, the school system, when it targets youth at a young age, that then can result in imprisonment, detention, whatever it is. It's focusing on kind of know your rights aspects training was the workshop that we were doing.
So this was actually my professional field for a while. So
Go for it.
when you either suspend or expel kids, that often leads them into hanging out in the streets instead of being in
Getting
school.
arrested.
And then they get into trouble. And who are the kids who are expelled and suspended more than any others? Black and brown kids. And why is that? Because implicit bias and racism. And so something that starts in school with, a disciplinary action that goes too far can end up with kids getting, when they become of age, going to prison. And that's called the school to prison pipeline.
Oh. Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So this is working with the kids who are presumably believed to be in this pipeline.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the program was open to everybody, but yeah, it's just giving knowledge. It's that empowerment piece, just making kids aware that these systems exist and
I
what
see.
to do, how to
Okay.
how to
That
recognize
sounds
them.
wonderful. That sounds like a good effort. Thank you.
I have a question about the Pride rally, where there are going to be some speakers on the 22nd. The last time there was a big Pride event, we had a celebration of, was it 25 years or 20 years of gay marriage in the state, and there was a panel, and I was asked to speak and on behalf of the Human Rights Commission. And I'd love for the Human Rights Commission to have representation. I think at this point I may be the only queer member here, but I don't want to make any assumptions. I would just like to see a queer member of the Human Rights Commission speak at the rally, if that's something we can arrange.
I think that's totally something we could arrange. We were just having a planning meeting earlier this week, and we have not settled on any speakers. So I think the group that's putting it together will be more than welcome to have someone from the commission speak if
Right.
someone is interested, if that person is you.
And as you know, if it's me, I'll sing also.
I don't know about that.
I'm a
Just joking, just
I'm a
joking.
professional vocalist. No, it's part of
Yes.
why I love to be in public, do things in public because people gives people the opportunity to participate. You can sing along. They're not just like passively, sitting there like lumps in a log. Great. Any other questions before Philip moves on to the Youth Hero Awards? Take it away, Philip. Oh, I had a question. Sorry, I have another question. The budget cuts, did they impact the DEI office was the DEI office safe?
The DEI office did not see any budget cuts this year.
All right, thank you. And we know, as we already heard from Liz, unfortunately, Chris saw positions frozen. All right, thank you. Moving right along, Youth Hero Awards.
Yep, so Youth Hero Awards, just to reiterate, it is June 8th, happening at Mill River Park, starting at 12 p.m. Obviously, we will welcome anyone that can come earlier to help set up, please do. And so it is in partnership with Race Amity Day, and so they are planning a 2 performances, I believe. I think I got the confirmation, so maybe this is tentative, but the gospel choir, Liz, you might know more than me on that if you all are performing or not. But there is also the person that is putting together Marita. Her brother will be performing as well. And we will have vendors there, and then it will be followed with the awards ceremony. Food is going to be provided again. We are using some funds from our end, and it will be Vibesman, so same food from last year. I was not here, so I will get to enjoy that food. If any of you all have eaten it, I've heard extensive great reviews from Pamela. She has made me want it since my coming on, so we'll have that covered there on the food aspect. And the last thing really is the nomination form. We had it at a deadline for Friday. We are going to extend it until Monday, and we might even extend it until Friday. We are not seeing nominations come in, and so on your all's end, if we could get some push and some efforts, we have reached out to the schools. We have some media press happening. I believe on Friday I was in communication with our communication manager, but right now we only have 3 nominations that have come in.
So we only got one more, and you haven't heard from the high school, because I was at the high school on Monday, and I spoke to several people about nominating kids that I know that are doing things that I don't know the full scope of what they're doing, but I know they're doing some. So I'm not sure what the disconnect is. Ronnie has her hand up.
Yeah, so I was thinking, Philip, if you think of like the people who go to use the mobile market, I mean, don't we have to get the parents involved in this? I mean, to get awards, you usually have parents sort of putting forward their kids or somehow getting their kids
Right,
nominated.
anybody
So
can
I'm just wondering, if
nominate.
you think of that whole population, like how can we motivate them? I've also been concerned about this. How do we get, for instance, that population to get involved somehow, to get their kids recognized? Like,
Yeah.
how do we do that? Because we could send the application, but I think we need more. We need to talk to the key local leaders and get them to talk to the families and so on.
Yeah, I certainly think that's the way to go about it. I also think that, anybody that can nominate and then just let family members know, like, hey, your child got an award or is getting an award, that sometimes is also incentive in that to participate in that way, So if you know
So any of
many
us
people
can
that-
nominate a
Correct,
child we
yeah.
know who we
Yeah.
think is great.
Correct. Mhm.
Okay.
Thank you. Anybody else or anything else on the Youth Hero Awards? Thank you very much, Philip, for all your work on both categories of your presentation. Yes, Ronnie.
Sorry to keep coming. One more question. Should Human Rights Commission have a table there?
I
I
think
mean,
so. Yeah.
I can see next year that we would have a table and we'd have a computer playing our video, like
Yeah.
over and over so people can see it.
Uh-huh.
But should we just wait then? I mean, this is a question for the whole commission. it's one event where lots of people go and a lot of young people go to that.
We can
Should
do
we be
what
there?
we've done at the Global Village and like for the block party is have a DEI table and you all participate in
Mhm.
managing that table as me and Pamela will probably be running around if that's what you all would like to see.
I
But
think
I'd
what
like human rights to be more prominent because like at the DI table, I know there was stuff about human rights, but it really wasn't even visible. So unless you went there, I mean, the HRC is only one of many things that DEI is involved in. And maybe we should just settle for that this year and just have like, if we could even just have a big, a bright little poster that says, 12 by 15, not like a big poster, but something standing up that says Human Rights Commission. And then, I don't know, the website or something on it so that people aren't sitting on your table.
I'm going to
What do,
preface
what
this
do
by
other people think?
I'm going to preface this by saying it's a very difficult time of the year. We have graduations, we have our students that are leaving us, Jacinta, and when it's the 2 days after the Amherst High's graduation. And I know we're all busy, but last year, the only member that I remember from the Human Rights Commission being there was me. So we have to make an effort to be present at this event. It was, and I'm saying that Jennifer was there and Ron and Pamela was there. And I know that Ronnie was supposed to be there and she had a family emergency. So I get all of that. But one of the things that we do when we're there is we talk to people, right? So it's even more important that we try to get there to reach out to people and talk to them about why we personally are doing this work, because then that's how they get excited about maybe joining us or getting their kids involved. So
Okay, this gives me a
and
better
it's
idea.
and it's tough because I know for me personally, I have a function in Northampton at 11 o'clock. So it's going to be difficult, but I'm going to be there to do the presentations at 1 like I usually am. So
it is difficult, and I just want to say that I wasn't there last year, but I made every single other HRC event, and it was frequently like Ronnie, Liz, and I and Rizwana, were the people who made like almost everything. So yeah, that we need to get the turnout. I won't be able to make it to this year either. I have a client day in Boston that it's my work. I can't not go. So two things. One is, yes, here's the pitch. We have to turn out. And two, I think if we're going to have visibility that's a poster or something, maybe we could have a QR code on pieces of paper so that people could just click and it takes them to our website or something, our web pages. But to just be there is not enough, and to just have material is not enough. Like people need to grasp what we do. Just
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'd be happy to like make a QR code that takes like 5 minutes. And then maybe brainstorm something else. I can only do sort of like graphic design or like a video, or not a video, like a photo sort of. I don't know if we have photos from other events. We do. Then maybe some sort of like I don't know, booklet, that photo album, something like that. If the photos were sent to me, like I like doing stuff sort of task oriented like that with that I could sort of drop off at somebody's house before Sunday.
That sounds amazing. I just want to note, thank you. Ronnie and Philip have your hands up. It's 7:24.
I'm taking my hand down after Jacinta has spoken.
And mine is just a click for you all just to think about, other outreach areas that we have the block party coming up, the Global Village. So if you all think in terms of outreach and materials, what do you want? We can always have a section and make it more clear, like DEI, human rights, however you would like to go. Me and Pamela are pretty flexible on that end.
I think with Jacinta's folder, we can, whatever she comes up with, that's there until we have the video. But I really, the reason I raised my hand was that I really liked what Liz said about how it's important for us to physically be there and to talk to people and meet people and tell them who we are and why we do this and what it's about and so on, in addition to all this other stuff. I really like that idea.
So for Jacinta to be able to produce something, she needs the raw material. So I know, Philip, you sent me several pictures. Maybe you could forward them to Jacinta. And Jacinta, you like have the web link for the immigrant rights page. And, if you just pull down the web link for our general page, it's not going to be enough because I think Philip sent me like 3 or 4 pictures. If other people have pictures of Youth Hero Awards, of the Global Village Day, of Martin Luther King celebration, of the Frederick Douglass July 4th speech, whatever, anything. I don't know who has what. Jacinta, yes.
Yeah, I could maybe instead of a photo album, I could share like a Google slide, and then if people, whatever's easiest for people to just send me sort of a title of what that was and a photo that you have from it, I can put them in the slides, but also send you the slides, and then we could do 2 QR codes, which is the slides and the link to the page. And then as well, something in the future is QR codes for like Google Calendar invites. So if people need a reminder as to when the event is, that is something that I would recommend. I don't think I'd be able to take it on after my committee position is gone, but I am happy to sort of, I won't be a panelist, but I'll probably be in the background. I'm happy to do that this summer to send. It's just kind of hard because Google Calendars, like, I don't know, the date will change or something will come up. So it would just have to be something that is one possibility in order to get more engagement with the town at these events, to say, hey, our next event, here's the QR code for our next event, if you need an invitation and a reminder.
That is so generous of you, Jacinta. Thank you. So, Philip, is it possible after the meeting to send an email out to everyone, even before the minutes come out, like tomorrow, to just say, here's Jacinta's email address for photos and yeah, for photos. I guess that's what because she knows where the links are. Yeah. And it's 7:27. We have 2 people here who are not members of the commission, and I feel like we need to ask if anybody wanted to make a public comment because that's where we are in the agenda. So there's a phone number and there's one other person. So do they let you know, Philip, if they want to? Is that how it works? So the person with the phone number has raised their hand.
They have to come off of mute. Unmute yourself. There you
There
are.
you go. You're on.
Hi.
Yes, hello.
Hi, go right ahead.
Hi. I might be the same person because I, for some reason, cannot speak through my Zoom. But my name is Lauren Mills, and I am familiar with many on the Human Rights Commission, and I wanted to just speak briefly as a parent, as a community member. I wrote down some things just to, get my thoughts together, but I am happy to hear about a lot of the movement and the work that is going on that you mentioned around the Resident Oversight Board and the connection with the CSSJC around housing. I think to know like a person's background story is important. So I'll just say that, I am, as I said, a parent of 2 high schoolers, and I don't think I would be as concerned or involved in the town's affairs if I didn't have children. So I just wanted to share, my my passion, my interest into having the accounting of, you know, what is going on in the town, having an accounting for, you know, the community members, what we, you know, show, how we show up for these issues that are going on in our families and in our town around equity and human rights. And I'm not running for anything. I'm too, you know, overwhelmed with my own children to do that, but I am staying involved. And I really, you know, am trying to push the recommendation that the CSSJC still sees as very important, community youth center. You could say recreation / community / youth center for our children. And I know a lot of the events that you guys have planned and a lot of the issues surround youth. So I just feel like, you know, there has to be a continued public forum to speak about how we can get a youth center that centers youth and centers the services that they need so that they can take advantage of the resources and, you know, build, you know, a better future that's, you know, surrounded on a strong foundation of education, because there's a lot of things going on in the schools right now. And so I feel like it's like, it should be plain that there needs to be a place for youth to congregate and to get the services they need. I'll just say, you know, lastly and briefly that my children who are teenagers, they go on the campuses of UMass. They, you know, eat there, but to me, it just seems like it's not the place for, you know, kids who are in high school. There should be, you know, they grow up so fast, especially with technology. And I just think that we're doing a real disservice if the town cannot come up with a plan along with all the, you know, resources that are available in this town to have programming and a space that's dedicated for youth. And so I'll just end with that, but I just, you know,
Thank you so
appreciate
much,
all
Laura.
thank you.
Thank you so
Bye.
much. I'm sorry to cut you off. It's been the 3 minutes
Okay.
is over, but we really appreciate your coming on and sharing your passion for moving forward on the youth center proposal, and certainly understand where you're coming from, and we appreciate your taking the time to be with us tonight. We're at the close of our meeting. The next meeting date is June 18th, and we've already determined that there are no additional topics, and we are 3 minutes past our adjourn time. So our official adjourn time is 7:33. No?
One other thing,
Yes?
2 other things. I will be in Oregon on our next meeting.
Ah,
We have a 3-hour delay, so I'll probably be in the middle of putting somebody on the track at that time. So I'll try to get on, but I'm not sure if I will.
uh-huh.
That's the first thing. And speaking of Oregon, we have 12 high schoolers that are on the track and field team that are excellent students, community leaders, and social justice warriors. They are in need of funds to help some of our lower income students get to Oregon. They have a GoFundMe page. There was an article on the girls track team in the Gazette, and the GoFundMe page is linked. If anybody out there that's listening to me can feel it within their heart to offer $5, $10, $1, $20, or whatever to this endeavor, this is a great opportunity. These kids are nationally ranked, and it'll be a shame if they cannot perform on the national level. So I'm making a pitch as a track athlete, as the track coach, as the quasi auntie to one, as the godmother, mentor to all of them, including one of our para athletes who will be qualified in his wheelchair for the first time. We're having para athletes involved, and it'll be a shame if they can't get there. So if you cannot find the GoFundMe page, you can find me. And if not, you can send something to the school and attention to Chris Gould. And that's my plea for my kids, who I know are doing wonderful things, not only on the track, but academically and socially justice as well. So that's my plug for them. And I know it's not part of the Human Rights Commission, but I think it's a shame that because of a socioeconomic gap, that our kids will not be able to shine where they shine statewide. We have girls who are, the girls 4x4 is Massachusetts division, indoor, and New England champions. So they want to, and they won the 4x4 last year. They sent 5 girls last year. This year they're sending, if we can, 6 or 7 girls and 6 boys. So it'll be a chance.
Amazing.
So that's all.
Thank you. So we're now officially adjourned at 7:36. Thank you, everybody. See you on the 18th, and you will hear from me about your acting debut.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks.
All
Bye-bye.
righty. Take care.